are. It's Wednesday morning, the 19th, and we're having our morning report. Things have escalated a bit, so we're we're gonna leave our normal routine of working our way around the group, and we're just gonna go at this by tackling the topics. So first of all, we have a few people who heard some vocals in the night, maybe during the day yesterday, I'm not sure. So let's have those people speak forward first.
I can speak. I had, so I'm camped, I think between 200 and 250 yards up the hill there. And between, right around 135, I heard a woman's high-pitched laugh, from the direction of the campfire area. I can't say it was here, but it was this general direction.
Okay.
And there's, so that's a little ways away, and there are some trees between here and there, so it was noticeable.
Okay, well, we were here by the fire a little late, and we did do some laughing, so it is possible what you heard was us. Somebody else said they heard that too. Penny?
Yeah, I was laying in bed. We got up there about 10 till 1 and took a few minutes to get in bed. So maybe 20 minutes into it, half hour, I heard this. It sounded like 3 women and all together laughed this shriekish wail weird sound.
Really?
And I think that's what Peter heard too.
Yeah, I don't think that was us.
One voice doing this shriekish waily, and it was at least 2 seconds long. It was pretty sustained for nighttime sound.
Wow, okay.
But I could not tell what direction it came from.
Okay.
The wind had started to come up about then.
All right, cool.
It's interesting that you both had, within a certain time frame, a short time frame, heard that.
And far apart.
And far apart, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we've heard women's
women's voices have been reported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During the week,
Right.
yeah.
During the
we've
week.
heard-
So.
Yeah, during the week we've heard women's voices all through here. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else hear anything?
Yeah, then about 1:39, and the reason why I know that is because we looked at the clock. I heard a really loud yelp, like that, really loud.
Oh, okay.
And that's when I looked at the clock to see what time it was. But I did not hear the other stuff.
Could you tell from which direction?
It sounded like it was towards your direction, actually.
It wasn't me.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody saw lights up on the hillside last night.
Yeah, I think there was quite a few of us who saw. It was in the direction of Peter's tent, but I kept thinking it was way too far away to be Peter's tent. And it was really late. I know that he doesn't stay up very late.
So, yeah, we checked with you this morning, and you were not out walking around with lights on the hill last night?
No. I turned off my light in the tent at 11:30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had a fire going, but it wouldn't have moved.
No, I saw some lights too. They were moving around over there. All right, okay, so then we're going to get to a little more exciting stuff now. Last night was a gorgeous sunset. There were a few clouds in the sky, so there was a lot of colors, and it was brilliant. So we decided to go for a drive and get some pictures, watch the sunset. We went down, got in cars, went that way. It wasn't a good place to go and get a good view, so we turned around and came back. Well, everybody in Courtney's truck went up to the top of the hill, and I had gone around the other way. By the time I got there, I couldn't see where they were at, so I went up on the hill behind where our campers are up there, and just took some pictures. And from there, I could hear the voices of everybody else. And okay, well, the sun had kind of faded. I went down and joined you. And as I pulled up, I see everybody kind of in a line, staring at the hillside, pointing, maybe dancing a little. Okay, so tell us about what happened.
So, Claire had done a little female holler, and then I said, let's wait a few seconds and have a male do it. And so Rob did a nice, big, long yell. And no sooner than did I turn around on the hill, I was looking up there and I saw this tree, and I thought to myself, boy, that tree looks really weird. And no sooner did I say that to myself, did the figure drop to the ground. I mean, like within half a second. It went from standing on 2 feet, you could see the head, shoulders, torso, some of the legs, to laying flat on the ground. It was gone.
Wow.
And then I was like, "Oh my God, you guys! You went to the And they all were like, what? And I turned around and I was trying to tell them exactly where it was, and it was really hard because there's so many trees.
I know.
So I got them the right position of where I saw it, and no sooner did I do that, the figure walked from center to right, and right to center to left.
Wow.
And everybody saw it, all
the
six.
movement.
So can everybody who saw this raise your hands? So we've got Claire,
Come on.
Sandy, Rob, Kelly, you're even Richard. Right on. Very cool. Congratulations,
It
everybody.
was the first sighting for
Richard.
For me.
and you.
And
Claire.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
all
you,
four
your
of them.
first
Yeah,
sighting
that's
for-
awesome. I'm so happy for you guys.
It was
So the Bigfoot showed itself after it knew it had been seen.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just very
Yeah.
weird how
Kinda
I
odd.
thought to myself, that's not a tree. And as soon as I said that in my head, it hit the ground.
And it went back and forth.
And it did. It
was
just
Yeah,
walked
it was
Yeah.
like,
back
hey,
and
look at me,
forth.
look at me
One,
after trying to
two.
hide.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did everybody feel about this experience? What did you?
Extremely excited.
Yeah.
Excited.
So what was your take on it?
My take? Well, first of all, when she said, I see it, I seen whatever, and then it dropped, I don't see it. And I'm like, she's seen it, I'm this close. And then I could see by the tree, I'm like, oh, there it is. And I see it walk that way and then walk that way. And it's just like, look at me, and I can't believe it. I'm like, what? I'm getting a private show. Well, not a private show. I mean, we had 8
Semi.
for the semi. But, I'm like, all right, I've been wanting to see one forever and ever. And I thought this is going to be another camp out. I'm going to go home. And now everybody else seen something, but I didn't. So I was friggin' on
Front
cloud
row
9.
seat.
And then, of course, we're coming up. And we meet Mitch. He comes down and he's going, hey, we heard this house. And at first, you're going to be able to say yours too, but we're like, no, that was me, because me and Claire had done ours. And then somebody goes around the front. Me and Mitch go up because we have to check it out because there's somebody up there. We knew that there's 2 girls camping up there. I wanted to make sure that they weren't walking along the ridge, which, of course, these are not little girls, they're women, but they're not very big. And then where the Squatch was walking back and forth, way too wooded for them to just be doing that arbitrarily.
And I had just come down from walking past their camp to get, sunset pictures, and they were both wearing bright colored clothes. I think the one he was even wearing white pants.
Yeah.
So Mitch goes up and kind of like, because they're in their tent now. And Mitch comes up and says, oh, excuse us, we need to walk through your tent. And now I come up and I'm not going to say what this is a G-rated show, so I come up and I said, have you seen a Squatch come by here? And they're like, no. And I said, all right, cool. Hey, there's a Squatch. There was a Squatch over there. And we looked around to make sure that there was nobody camping arbitrarily up there besides them that could have been walking back and forth. Nobody was up there. No campfires or nothing. So, yeah, we're looking in the woods on the other side of the woods. And we did hear some footsteps. But we couldn't see anything. But we heard footsteps.
You did hear
Mhm,
footsteps. Oh,
mhm.
that's cool. Did you hear the footsteps
Yes,
too?
Yes, I forgot to mention it.
Okay, right on. Okay.
I think Courtney
Huh.
did a good job when she first saw it. Because I see her looking, and then she says, "I see something. It just dropped down." And then we all looked up there, and what was easy to help distinguish where she was looking at was there was a dead tree. So you can immediately see that up there. So that gave us a good focal point. And I got the sense that the forest person was just walking back and forth, waiting for all of us to see it, or him, because I think Claire was trying to adjust with her camera or something, and
No, I had my binoculars. After the
Binoculars.
fact, I was on there for a good 7 minutes. I didn't move, so I didn't see it crawl away. After that initial.
yeah,
I
it
didn't see
took her. I think she was the last one to
Yeah, she was.
actually get a hold of it. But it's like it was like okay, I'll take another step. Here I am, kind of thing, and that's that's what I wanted to verify, because you want to rule stuff out is the first thing I wanted to rule out was that it wasn't the gals that were up at the top. walking around. So that's why I'm glad that Rob and Mitch went and checked that out, because
Yeah,
that
if they
ruled
had
that
left
out.
this morning, they wouldn't have been there to ask
Right.
today. So
Yeah,
that,
and
yeah,
it
that,
was definitely something on 2 legs,
And it was dark.
dark,
Dark.
and
yeah.
but
So
it was
after
big
it
enough
walked
for us
back
to
and
see.
forth, what did it do?
Then it kind of melded back into the
Went
Yeah,
back
it
behind
went
a
back
tree
behind
and
the
these
tree and we
three
never saw it again.
trees.
It didn't drop down again.
No, it just kind of
I
walked
don't
back
know
to these
if
And
it's
it only
trees.
took-
really.
So 2 steps to clear from one side to the other. So I'm really interested. to
And
see.
at that distance, it was what, approximately 200 yards?
at
About
least,
200 yards, yeah.
Yeah.
And
For
we're
to
looking
clearly
uphill.
see a person walking and taking steps and have that much detail at that distance, and to be able to cover that much ground, that's a really big person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I was when she was telling us where it was. I had just put my camera away because I was taking sunset photos, and so I'm standing there with my camera, on my shoulder, and she's telling us where it is, and then I'm like, oh, my camera! Unzipped it, and I just started taking pictures, one right after the other, as fast as the camera would advance itself. I've got about 12 frames or more of that area, and the first one was from the distance, and then I started zooming in. So it's interesting. There's something there. We're going to go back and take some comparison photos
Mhm.
today, but I want the picture to stand on its own without enhancements. So I think it's important. If it's a good picture, we'll post it. Otherwise, and I had actually had the sense to lighten the camera exposure.
Mm,
So yeah,
cool.
I know, amazing, right?
Great
Yeah. Yeah.
Becoming an old
And that's what I wanted to say about like Claire getting the binoculars up, you getting your camera out, people doing that, because I just stood there with my mouth open.
Useless Kelly.
I was absolutely frozen with my mouth open. So when you hear about people and you go, well, why didn't they take a picture? It's because they're like me. They were frozen,
Yeah.
just like in the moment, like, what am I seeing, kind of thing. It was
Hmm.
so I completely get it now why people
or
don't.
giddy like a squirrel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't take pictures when they have
See,
a camera.
another big difference with this experience than what happens a lot of the time is usually when they're seen and they leave our field of view, they stay gone. This was, in my mind, a gift from the forest people to the group, because not only did he realize he was seen, he dropped out of sight, but then afterwards, the entire group was given not only the view of I'm walking this way, but just in case you didn't see that, I'm walking back this way. Are we all good now? So-
Well, see, that's what I kind of saw. It was kind of squared up. It was like it was walking sideways, but it was squared up. I could see both shoulders and arms, and it was kind of
that's true.
tilted, but I couldn't see
Yeah.
its face. It was just a silhouette of a face.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was like,
So it was sidestepping to give you guys a
That's
full
what I
frontal
thought.
view?
but it was just a fluent step that I saw,
Wow.
or 2 fluent steps.
Wow. That's awesome.
But yeah, it when she finally said dead trees straight ahead, she's like, dead trees straight ahead, and I'm like, okay, okay. And I'm like, and so then I saw it, and I'm like, I saw like the same thing, kind of it was facing this way, but it was more shadowy, and if I was alone, I would have doubted myself. I would have doubted myself because it was so fast, and I saw it going this way, towards the tree. And then it was just but then we kept seeing it, and then I see Barb's car coming, and we still see it as her car is parallel it, and I get to I didn't take my eyes off. I think I know better. Don't take your eyes off. And I'm digging in my backpack for my binoculars. I finally found them, and then I didn't keep it off. I took it for a good 5 minutes, and I saw nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Okay.
couldn't see any crawling or any more peaks or.
That was the end of it, huh?
Yep.
But if
Okay.
he or she were looking at us, the last thing they would have seen when we were all just standing there waving. Thank you. Waving.
Oh,
And
that's
by the way,
awesome.
that is right above our tent, and we have heard footsteps around our tent.
Yep.
I mean, it's not far at all from our tent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. Just right
So-
over the hill,
Yep.
isn't it? Yeah.
No
Yep.
reason to check the campers.
Cool.
You said something early on when you first saw it. You said it's like we made eye contact
Yeah.
and it knew it was seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
and then it showed itself again,
Yeah.
and did it one more time just for good measure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perp
See it
walk.
over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Pretty
Would
cool.
have been cool if it done.
After you guys went up the hill to check it out, you heard footsteps?
Yeah, when we got over to the edge where it starts going down, where all the trees were,
Yeah.
we could hear a footstep or two in the trees, but we couldn't. It was getting darker and darker. And it was kind of hard to see anything. But we heard some footsteps.
Oh,
Kind of
very
went
cool.
along the edge for
Mhm.
as far as we dare, and then
That's
that way.
odd because usually when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, and that's why I think that this was a special
Might have been more
event
than
for
one
our
there.
group. That
Might have been more than one.
Might have
Yeah.
been more than one.
yeah, that's true. There could have been two there. Yeah.
Might have been a diversion.
So there's another aspect to this event, that the vocalizations. Now, before the sighting happened, Mitch, you were up on top of the hill behind camp, and you were playing your guitar and singing, and you heard something, and Lee heard something. Yes.
So let me ask before I go into the story. I want to ask Claire, did you do your vocalization after Rob or before?
Right before, 10 seconds
Okay,
before.
so this is where it gets interesting. So I'm up there, back about 200 yards or so behind here, and the sun had gone down, and I'm finished playing guitar. And this is before I walked out to hear the major vocal, so it was maybe 15 minutes before it all went down with the major vocalization and the sighting right after. I heard a I could hear it coming from behind the mountain here, the hill, and I heard it, but immediately is right when I finished playing guitar, I heard a truck come down toward camp. So I thought, I don't know, it could be the truck, it could be, but I'm pretty sure I heard this very loud vocal. And then I walk around, so it takes another 10 minutes or so. I walk around to where the spring is with my guitar case. I'm walking to the crest of the hill and walking just below the crest of the hill up here. Then I hear it, and it was loud, and it was. I keep thinking it was similar to the vocalization I heard, one of them in the Ron Moorhead Sierra ones, where it's rattling my rib cage kind of, or my lungs cage. It was but even I don't know, just more like a yell. It was, almost felt like it was yelling at the sun going down or something. That was my feeling.
Well,
And it went on for a long time. It wasn't, it was just reverberated around everywhere. It was so loud. So I think I almost dropped the guitar case. And so here's where it gets interesting, is that right after that happened, I heard another vocalization coming from exactly where the sighting was. And it was almost like a call and response. And I can't really remember what it sounded like. It was a similar yelp that was very loud also. So I was looking up there, then looking over there. So if that was Claire, that she had done hers before Rob's, but it was after, clearly. And I don't know if
Okay.
Linda heard that too or not. So I was kind of like waiting for like another response. Maybe they were doing a call. I clearly felt there were two working together, talking to each other.
okay.
And then after that, I heard a bunch of people's voices. Like, woo! I was like, well, what the hell's going on here? So and that was interesting. It's like, oh, my ear, what's going on? So I ran. I decided, should I just stay here and maybe there'll be more vocals? Because the first one was so long. It was, gosh, I don't know how many seconds. I ran down to camp to get everybody. I ran down the hill,
Thank you.
and then and then ran back up. And as I ran back to the crest of the hill, I hear, I walk over the crest of the hill, and then I hear Barb's voice. And then Larry is up with me, and I hear Barb's voice.
You're saying congratulations.
Congratulations. So I'm thinking, this is so bizarre. I'm thinking, oh, they all heard it too. Having no idea there was a sighting just then, right? I'm
Yeah.
thinking they heard it too because they heard congratulations, and I could hear Courtney going, woohoo, whatever. It's like, I thought we're all in it together hearing this vocalization. So that's about it. And then I felt deflated a little bit that I missed the sighting. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I was like, oh man, I missed it.
Oh,
But I heard that, and then when I heard it was Rob had done a vocalization, and I talked to Rob this morning, and he said he had done it. It was a I was like, oh boy, this gets interesting. So we're gonna recreate this in a couple hours. We're gonna go out there, and I'll be in position. Rob will be in position. Claire will be in position. We're gonna get some data on this. But Linda will have something to share. 'Cause
Lee.
Lee heard it also, and we'll see what happens with that.
yeah, cool. Thank you. Lee, what did you hear? How did it work for you?
Well, how it worked is I was sitting over here, and Mitch came running down saying, "There's yells, got to get up here." And so with the ones that were here, we all started heading up the hill, and I got to the top of the hill, and Debbie was in the tent, so I was going to go grab her and say they're hearing yells. But as I turned just to go, I heard a yell from over here.
Wow.
Totally opposite of what everybody else heard.
So, well, the first yell that you heard was from up on that hill too.
Same place, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was right after you were playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And you have to add, when you heard the truck, that was Courtney's
Yeah.
truck. So we hadn't even arrived over there yet.
Yeah, we went the other direction first. We went that way, so we were probably that
Right.
way for a full 10 minutes
That's
before
what
we
I'm saying.
came
It was like
back.
10 minutes. So I heard it pretty loud, but I heard the truck was immediately on the tail of that. So I thought, could it be? And I just finished playing guitar too, so I was trying to orientate myself. But it was coming from the backside of the mountain. So you guys weren't even in
We
position
weren't
yet.
even there.
Yeah,
down
not
there
even
yet.
there yet.
This had to be a separate yell then, because Lee, you didn't get up to the top of the hill till after everything had already
Right,
transpired.
right. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know they had a sighting yet. All I knew was there were some yells going on. So I thought it was interesting that I heard this yell from over here. It was almost like it was answering. I thought, well, maybe it's
Well,
talking to him.
So that wasn't the same yell I heard then.
Right. So we know it
Doesn't sound
wasn't
like
the group that had the sighting, because they had already finished their yelling and had the sighting and
Yeah.
everything. And then you heard it at the very end.
Interesting.
very
And
cool.
we actually
Interesting.
stood at that sighting
Yeah.
area for
And that
an
was the whole
extensive period of time.
Yeah.
reasoning
Yeah.
for us
Oh,
to
yeah.
yell.
Yeah.
We just wanted to see if we could get a response.
And that
So,
was early on.
Also, there's one other thing. Was it you, Penny?
We were behind Lee going up the
Mhm.
hill to listen to Mitch's yells up there that he was hearing. Pat and I were trailing Lee by a good 20 yards, probably. And as we got halfway up the hill, we aren't even close to the actual camper tents. She's fiddling with her recorder so that we can get that set up for the yells that Mitch has been hearing. And as we're walking by, I hear, oh, like that. And I looked over at the hillside here as we're walking up, and I just quickly glanced. I didn't even scan it or check it good. And I saw nothing with this quick check, but I went, oh, back. It was just like a natural response, nothing else. So I don't know what I heard. I didn't see anything. Pat didn't hear it. Lee didn't hear it. So, and I don't even think they heard my reply.
From which
Wow.
direction did it come?
Your side of the
Okay.
road.
Hmm.
And I'd say it was halfway to your campsite.
Wow.
So possibly greeting grunt, and you said back, so it was like, hey, hey.
I always answered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is, which Barb pointed out to me later on, that on Sunday night I went up early, and that's when I had everybody was still down here, and I'd heard two really long, what I would call Bigfoot yells that I've heard before on, different people have recorded, and I heard two really long ones, and I thought, oh, it could be you guys down here doing that. And Claire came up, and I asked her, and she's like, well, I didn't remember anybody doing it, but it could have been, us. So I didn't even think on Monday morning to even bring it up to us.
Yeah.
And like Barb said later on, you always need to, and I asked you if anybody had done yells, and you said no, and this was after the morning thing. So that just shows everybody, always bring up anything that might seem insignificant, or don't just assume it's other people. And it was up all right over here. So it kind of just lends into what everybody else is hearing
Yeah.
from up that way.
Yeah, there's no details too small to sort out. It could be something important. It could be maybe not. And if we're all here to say, yeah, it was me, or nobody did that, then, you know, it validates what we're experiencing.
Those first morning wood knocks on Sunday, the first night over, and I heard the duller one, and then the out of the park crack one came from right up in that area too.
Wow. Okay, so to wrap all this up, we have one more little event that was pretty exciting we're going to share from last night. This happened after pretty much everybody had gone to bed. It was just Courtney and Larry and Sam and I were sitting here by the fire. And unlike the night before, when we were hearing a lot of movement, there was things going on all around us the entire time we were sitting out here. You know, I saw the eye shine right here between the buildings, just right over there. Last night was quiet out here. You know, we weren't hearing any rustling, no noises, no nothing. We just sat here and we're having our deep conversations that, you know, we were well into. And so at one point, Courtney, she stops and she says, I hear something over this way. So we stopped our conversation, you know, which we were kind of oblivious to anything that was going on before that. Well, that got our attention. And right after that, I hear something back here. And I said, oh, I hear something. And Larry says, oh, I think that was just me pulling my hand out of my pocket. And it did it again. And I said, no, there's something back here. And at that point, we all turned and looked back in this direction. And through these trees, we saw like a small, very bright white moon kind of go through the trees about part way, and then it kind of just stopped there for a minute, and then it very slowly came over, and then just when it got to this little gap right here, went and was gone.
Definitely changed directions.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, so we're pretty sure that was not anything normal.
Yeah. And it was great that we all three looked over there at the same time.
Yeah.
And there it was, because that's a narrow gap right there.
Yes,
you know?
it is. And you could see it through the trees right here.
It
Yeah.
wasn't distant. I mean, it wasn't like it was at a star or a satellite. This thing was close. I would say it couldn't have been any more than 1,000 feet up. Wouldn't you
Oh
agree?
yeah, no
If
more,
not even
if
closer.
that.
It was
Yeah.
so bright. It was like a ball.
Yeah, it was hard to say whether it was like something bigger far away, like, you know, because it was like a little moon, or was it maybe just an orb that was not that far away?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that was really cool. And another thing that I think is interesting is that with the conversation we were having, none of us would have had any clue that it was there if out of the blue we didn't start hearing something that stopped the conversation, drew our attention, and made us turn around. So that's the only reason we saw it is because just in that moment, we were hearing something that got our attention. So, yeah.
What was cool was it moved pretty quickly, but then when it got right to the end of the gap, it slowed down.
Yes.
Still maintained the same, but it slowed down, and then it went into the trees. I lost what it was doing behind the trees because of my angle. So I had waited for it to come out the other side, and it finally did, and then dropped down at an angle.
Yeah.
Back behind those trees.
Yeah, and then it was just out of sight. Yeah.
I wonder if it's related because a lot of you guys have been seeing the red lights back there too.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing was that while we were all focused in that directions after it had happened, I believe, Sam, you were seeing some eye shine and a red light over back in the trees over here.
While you guys were talking and facing each other, I decided to kind of continue to look in that direction. And of course there's the stars and some of the skyline, but I saw below that, and I would shift back and forth, and I would see lights in the tree, and then it would disappear. And then it would turn red, and then it would turn different colors and things like that. So I was eliminating the possibility that it was stars by shifting back and forth, so that it could, if it was consistent, that I knew it was a star. But when I did this, and it was there for a bit, and I'm doing this, and all of a sudden it's gone, there's no way in the world a star would not appear somehow in the range of looking through the tree. So that's how I was able to confirm that we were actually looking at eye shine.
Okay.
We're seeing lights up there
Right.
after the sight. After the sighting, we're all down here talking about it. I decided to start looking up there, and I was seeing little red lights moving and some
Yeah.
white lights. And
I
Mitch
saw
came
it with
over and
Rob
seen it.
for a couple, few 3 seconds.
Yeah. So
And that's been the last few nights too. Because Claire, you saw lights a few nights ago, and Richard did too. The red lights.
You know,
So-
I don't know if it's related, but synchronicity. the sighting, the Sasquatch like waited till everybody got a good look, and the UFO did the same thing.
It
was
did.
going fast, and then it slowed down right before.
It's
it
like,
got to the
y'all ready?
trees.
Okay,
Did
here
y'all
we
get
go.
it? Did y'all get it? Okay, blow behind the tree now.
Well, and even how it happened to be that we were looking.
Right.
You
right.
know, we had to have our attention taken from the conversation and make us turn around, and then it went, oh.
which makes you, which really seriously makes you consider the fact that they are related.
Yeah, and this information is being doled out to us.
Yeah.
You know, these experiences are intentional and deliberate, and whether or not the forest people have something to do with what we saw up there last night or not, they drew our attention to it. You know, so. All right, so does anybody else have any questions or anything they'd like to throw in about yesterday's or last night's events? Oh, okay, so we're going to spend a good part of today reenacting, documenting, and I think it's going to turn out pretty awesome. We should have some size comparisons and maybe some footprints. We'll take a look at that medicine wheel. We'll test to see where the vocalizations could be heard from where you were. It's going to be a fun day. So,
Yeah.
oh boy. Can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Woo! Thanks, everybody.